Welcome to Real Talk Christian Podcast, where we drink coffee and have real conversations on faith, culture, and society. This is Mark Hyde
and Chris Fuller.
And on today's episode of Real Talk Christian, we are talking about the image of God, what it means and what it means in today's conversation. Fuller, you ready?
Let's go.
Fuller.
What's up, Mark?
Dude, how are you doing, bro?
Bro, I am doing very good and am very, very excited.
Why are you excited?
So,
Bro, do you have some happy? You have some happy juice in your cup? That's not coffee, is it?
It's cat poop coffee now. Sorry, that was a little inside joke between Mark and I.
Oh, goodness. Anywho.
Anyways, no, I'm excited, man, because we have our 50th episode, the end of season 1 finally coming up.
Dude, we've almost made it a whole year.
We almost made it a whole year. Yeah, so that comes up on July 9th is our 50th episode.
50. We're getting close. We just got out of our Ask RTC Anything, part 1 and part 2.
Part 1 and part 2.
And we're just a couple weeks away, dude.
Dude, just a couple. And what's happening in a couple weeks, Mark? What's going on?
The birthday of America.
Well, that. But what's happening after our 50th episode, Mark? What happens on July 10th, Mark?
We're going to Disney.
No, Mark, that's not what
We're doing our live giveaway drawing for the Mega Swag Bag. Dude, you were...
I'm like, come on, Mark.
Now you know how I feel as a youth pastor trying to pull information out of people who are just trying to be dumb.
I couldn't stop laughing. I had to move my mouth away from the mic. It was like, come on.
Yeah, so July... I can't believe we're talking about July already, dude.
July 9th
July
is the 50th
9th
episode.
is 50. July 10th, we're going to go live on Facebook and YouTube to do the live drawing for our Mega RTC swag bag.
We talk about that. We've talked about the mini swag bag.
Yeah, well, yep. And so how do you get the mini swag bag?
So the mini swag bag, you have to leave us a review on Apple or iTunes, Apple
Podcast.
Yeah, whatever. Or comment, right? Comment on our stuff or send us an email. And when you do that, email us at realtalkchristianpodcast@gmail.com with your information to win a free mini swag bag. And Mark, what comes in that mini swag bag?
A sticker of the RTC sticker logo. You also get a button, and you get a little note from us.
Yeah,
just a little thank you.
Just a little thank you for listening to us and giving us your thoughts on the podcast. But that's just the mini.
Oh,
now we're going to go into talking about the Mega. What do we win in the Mega?
The Mega. Okay, dude. So there's a lot of crap in this Mega swag bag.
Dude.
There's a lot of crap.
I went design crazy, and I kept going, buy.
Yeah, at midnight, I'm getting my phone blown up. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I'm like, dang, dude.
Hey, check out this design. Check out this one.
You are definitely needing to get back to work. Get out of this quarantine stuff. But anywho, so in this Mega swag bag, it is valued, if we were to sell all this stuff like normal stuff, around $100.
Yeah, right around $100
worth
shipping,
of stuff. Yeah. So we have inside the Mega swag bag, we have an RTC Tri-Blend t-shirt. Because here's the deal about t-shirts, guys, okay? We don't wear cheap crap t-shirts.
They got to be comfortable.
And I don't really even do 100% cotton that much. Like, I want at least a 50-50, but we're going like that next level
and it's
Tri-Blend.
And it's the full color inkjet.
Yep.
It's not the vinyl.
Nope,
nastiness.
It's direct to garment printing, so it's going to feel like the shirt. It's going to be comfy.
It is going to be comfy.
So we got that, but we also have an RTC drawstring backpack that goes along with it, so you can put all of your gear and crap inside.
It's literally a Mega swag bag.
Because it's a bag. It's an
it's
RTC
an actual
bag with the
bag.
shirt, and then we're also going to stick the sticker in there and the button, just like everything else. You also get a signed picture of us, though, Fuller.
What?
An 8x10, and we're going to sign it, and it's going to be nice. You can put it up on your mantle. I mean, you know you want that. You're also going to get the RTC mug that we use in every single episode. Every episode we've ever done,
we don't record with it without it.
Correct. we record with it.
Yeah, we record with it. We don't record with it.
So you will get that. It's got the gray handle. It's got the logo on it and everything. And it's not just like a cheap, like we were talking about, do we want like the cheap mugs? But I'm like, no, we don't want to look like a trucker stop.
These are the actual mugs that we ourselves use. And we've had them for a while. and there's like no fading, no chipping. We were just talking about that before we started the podcast.
We've been using them, I mean, weekly when we record, but let's be honest, I use mine.
Dude, I use it all the time.
Even when we're not recording.
Right.
And we've used them the last 6 months, and we've had no issues with them.
No issues, yeah.
At all. You also will get a fancy little business card that we have now. We'll toss a few of those in there so you can pass them out to your friends. You also still get a letter from us, you know, because we're nice. We're nice people. My favorite, though.
Here it is, right here.
We are going to send you a half pound of Fuller's home roasted RTC coffee.
El Salvador.
Which there's a story behind this blend. I've never had it.
Yeah,
because Janelle won't let me.
I had 1 pound of it one time, and I roasted it. And Janelle, we had a cup of coffee, and Janelle goes, this stays here. And I'm like, what? And she goes, you're not. I'm drinking all this. This is my coffee. And I'm like, okay, so it must be really good. So I ordered more of it now, and that's going to be coming. That half pound is going to be coming to you. And a whole bean, obviously.
Yep, and a whole bean, because we want to keep it fresh. We want to keep it fresh.
Keeps it longer, and that's going to come to you in an RTC bag of its own, the coffee bag. So
our own coffee bag. So you get 9 different pieces in this Mega Swag bag, from a top-of-the-line T-shirt, drawstring backpack, coffee mugs, coffee, and all the other fun little things that are in there. And it's really easy to win. It's free. And we're covering shipping.
Yeah, we're covering everything. It's completely free to you.
So you might be thinking, Mark Fuller, how do I win this Mega Swag bag? And we made this really easy for you guys.
So
easy. You know, we live on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on both those platforms. So here's what you have to do, okay? And if you're on Facebook or if you're on Instagram, you can compete in this, but we're putting them together and drawing one name. Yep. It's not one from Instagram, one from Facebook. Person. It's one entry per person. But here's how you enter into the giveaway. If you're on Facebook, we will post a picture of the mini swag bag and say, share this, or we'll have a very specific post that you need to do this with. And you have to like the picture, you have to share it, and you have to comment. You can leave whatever comment you want. You can either say us what your favorite episode is. I personally like the idea of tagging somebody.
You can
so
just
they
tag
can see
somebody. I'm okay with that,
or
too.
you can literally just say, hi, like that.
Yeah,
that works too.
It doesn't matter what you say, but you have to leave a comment. It's like, share, and comment.
Yep, you got to like, share, and comment on Facebook. But over on Instagram, you have to like it, and then you have to comment. But in that comment, you have to tag another account.
Right.
You got to tag them. You got to tag somebody. And here's the deal, okay? I know there's some giveaways where it's like, hey, you can have up to 10. If you tag 10 different people, 10 different comments, that's 10 different giveaways. We're just doing one because we want to keep it fair. So and if you do one on Facebook and you do this also on Instagram, I'm just gonna say it. You get 2 entries because you did it in 2 different places.
I'm cool with that.
You get the Facebook entries and the Instagram entries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you just like it and then you tag one person. Now I think it's cool out of the goodness of your heart because Jesus would do this. Is tag everybody.
Well, yeah.
But, because obviously Jesus would probably be making TikToks right now. Walking on water. He wouldn't need a TikTok to do that. He'd just do it on his own.
Wow.
That was really bad. That was really bad. But either way.
You could also enter if you're listening via YouTube right now or Spotify. You can also enter if you just send us an email at realtalkchristianpodcast@gmail.com telling us what your favorite episode is.
There you go. And you can comment on the YouTube stuff too.
Yeah, do it.
But either way,
try to make it fair for everybody that may not have all the social media stuff.
Exactly.
I think of my parents who are like, what is social media? So you got to make it fair for them as well.
I love it. But it's that simple, dude. So we're giving away the Mega Swag Bag the day after we drop the 50th episode. So we're dropping it July 9th, doing the giveaway July 10th. We will contact you right after we draw it, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram. But here's the catch.
Oh, it's a big one, too.
You have 24 hours to email us back your address.
24 little small hours.
We will tag you. We're not just going to say it and then walk away. We will notify you, hey, you won, give us your address.
This is the good thing. If you're not on social media that much and you send us an email and you check your email more often, we'll send you an email with it and say, hey, this is it right here. Like, you got 24 hours.
Just send us your address. And if you don't, we will draw a different name. If you do not get back to us by Saturday night, we will. If you don't get back to us Sunday morning, we're drawing a new name.
Right, exactly.
That's sometimes it just be like that.
Sorry.
Sometimes it just be like that.
So anyways, what do we,
so
let's talk about what we're drinking tonight.
Yeah,
we were drinking, I guess, because We're not. I mean, both of our cups are empty.
I'm
now.
actually really. I mean, we won't bore you with too many details, but we're drinking the. Hold on, Ethiopian?
Nope.
Guatemalan blend. But you roasted this one differently. You pan roasted.
I did because my roaster, I burned up the motherboard on it, and I reordered another one so I can roast the coffee for the Mega Swag Bag.
There you go.
But I burned up my motherboard, so I actually skillet roasted this, and it was really good.
We drank it too fast, so no, I'm a little kid, so I'm like legit drinking a Capri Sun right now.
But your Capri Sun's empty, so we literally have nothing, and we're at the start of the podcast. This is not good.
This is a problem. But I've had coffee, and then I turned to a little kid and had a Capri Sun.
And then he's gonna have to pee in about 20 minutes.
Right now.
Like
right now.
So we got to move through this pretty quick. But anyways, Mark, before we move on, one last thing. Do we have any reviews?
Not right now.
Man.
Not right now. At time of recording, we have no new reviews to read.
I mean, I'm almost thinking that if you leave us a review, I mean, that should almost be an entry for the Mega Swag.
You think?
You leave us a review, maybe.
But you get a free mini swag bag
maybe
out
an
of
extra
the review.
Right, but maybe an extra entry.
I
don't know what you think, Mark.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. You get an extra entry for a review.
We're for the people.
I'm for the people.
We're for the RTC people.
So if you leave us a review, not a comment, a review
on Apple iTunes,
then you will have an extra entry into the Mega Swag Bag giveaway.
And don't forget Facebook, and don't forget Instagram.
But anyways.
That's a lot of housekeeping stuff we had to do today, man. Woo!
What are we about, 20 minutes in now?
Only 12. We're 12 minutes
in.
We're
doing good.
But either way, so, we're done drinking coffee. So I guess now that we've all been caffeinated, it's time to have a really fun conversation that we're about to jump into.
This is a conversation that I haven't even looked at yet. You kind of typed up some notes for us, and I'm going to let
excited.
I'm going to let you run with it.
Have you ever heard, Fuller, of the term Imago Dei?
I have not.
So it is Latin for the image of God. You've heard of
we in America, man, we speak English.
I know, but it's fun. Like you have what seize the day?
Yeah.
Carpe diem.
Yep. That's it.
So you have Carpe diem, which is seize the day, and then you got there's other ones where I'm trying to remember what was before the face of God. That was a big one that was at Northland. But the Imago Dei stands for the image of God. When you read in the Bible, when you read Genesis 1:27-28, you see that God created, and this is a direct quote from the NIV actually. It says, "That's okay." The King Jimmy people, you want to have a conversation with me? I'll put you down. Let's go.
All right, let's have that conversation.
But so it says, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Keep reading. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number. That means have sex and have babies. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and every other living creature that moves on the ground. So when God created Adam and Eve, when God created humanity, now it just says, mankind. We don't want to get into the whole jargon. It's just a fact of that's the old term for people. When God created humans, not dogs, not birds, not other things. When God created humans, he made them and fashioned them in his own image. And then he told them, now that I've created you, here's what you are to do. So when we talk about that God created people in his image, that is a big conversation, and especially bleeds into a lot of other
the recent history of the world, really at this point.
Because I mean, we're dealing with COVID and people dying and getting sick, and that's those are fellow image bearers. We're dealing with Black Lives Matter. We're dealing with police brutality. We're dealing with this versus this and that versus that, and then all of a sudden these are all coming to a head. And hopefully through today's conversation, we're going to have some real talk on this, but it all stems back from the fact of how you view how man is created will dictate how you treat those who are around you.
Right. Yeah.
So when you think about the image of God, the image, it refers to, a person both who is and what a person does. And there's a school of thought where it's like the image of God is just who you are, not what you do. But in the text, we see that God created them in his own image and then told them actually what to go and do. I want to read this quote before we jump into the conversation. It's from David Clausen of the ERLC, which is the short for the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission. If you're part of the Southern Baptist Convention, that's actually a Southern Baptist arm. Russell Moore runs that. The quote says, man is the visible representation of the invisible God. If one wants to know what God looks like, simply look at man, the crowning jewel of creation and the only creature made in God's image and likeness. One of the tragic results of sin is that man no longer properly images God. The remnants of the image have been marred. And although we have been made in the image of God, Jesus is the ultimate image of God. So when we have this conversation of just what is the image of God, long story short, it's the fact of man is separate than all of the other creation.
Right.
Nothing else was made in the image of God. We talked about that in the faith and science episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
we were the only creature, quote unquote, that had the breath of life.
The breath of life breathed into us. And we were the only creation that when God looked at it, he said, behold, this is very good. Not just good,
and we're the only
good.
creations where he said, let's make man in our image.
In our image, right. So when we view the idea of image of God, we have to establish this ground rule of all creation. All humans are created in the image of God. Therefore,
Correct.
we all have the same rights and values and dignity and worth in God's eyes.
And I think if we're going to go there and we're going to solidify that rule, we also have to solidify the rule that God created Adam and Eve in the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And that all humans directly come from the line of Adam and Eve.
Right. And it even changes your worldview a little bit, too. I mean, maybe, I'm not jumping ahead too much. We'll just jump into it. You know, when you think of the Christian worldview, it's actually in my opinion, the most holistic worldview there is, because when you look at the Christian worldview of just human rights and human dignity, for example, not saying that all Christians have accurately lived in this reality. Our own Southern Baptist Convention is a testament that you can be a Christian and still get crap wrong.
I think that's every Christian.
Every Christian we all get stuff wrong because we're sinful humans.
Right.
But, you know, in the Christianity has, I think, one of the most consistent worldviews of what the world is crying for right now, because we're saying that, you know what? Whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Asian, whether you're a genius, whether you're, you know, maybe not have book smarts, but street smarts, whether you're a fully quote unquote put together human, or you're just trying to make ends meet, or even if you're special needs, it does not matter. We're all fellow image bearers of God. Therefore, all of us, no matter where we are, where we came from, what our skin color is, what our intellect is, what our emotional abilities are,
right,
we all have the same equal dignity, value, and worth in God's eyes. But when you take the Christian worldview out,
when you leave it with the sinly
world, and you look at how evolution works, human dignity actually is not a thing. We talk about this in the personhood theory conversation, where if you believe that in evolution that we all came from this random thing, it's survival of the fittest. If you're weak, sorry, you get killed.
Yep.
If you're strong, you survived, because you want to get rid of the weak in order to make room for the strong.
Let's look at history. That's how history for thousands of years has dealt with it. Even back in the Old Testament in the Bible, of, you know, the Philistines and the Israelites trying to overthrow one another. Now, the Israelites were doing it for God. The Philistines were just trying to get more stuff, I guess, people, slaves.
And that's where racism comes from, is we are better than you.
Right. Well, so it comes from that evolution type of thought process, or the multiple gods back in the Old Testament of we're not in the image of God. So, you know, I'm a different color. My mind works differently, so I'm superior to you. Or on the vice versa, you can also have the I'm inferior thought process. It doesn't just have to be I'm superior over this race. It could be I'm inferior to this race, because we saw that with the Israelites as Moses brought them to the promised land and they saw giants. They thought they were inferior. Like, we're in the image of God. There's no difference between them. Yeah, they're a little bit bigger, but
we're all made in the image of God.
Right,
but
exactly.
It's more so the fact of, with the Christian worldview, we have the most consistent worldview where it's all made in the image of God.
Right.
And if you take Christianity,
we do now. We have that because
yes,
throughout history, the Christian worldview has not always been that way. Again, I look back to the Crusades of the infidels and all that stuff, and how wrong and how unbiblical that was. They didn't value that those people, even though we have odds, all come from God. We're all image bearers of God, and we all descend from Adam and Eve.
And in reality, it should make us more humble.
Right.
You know, I mean, we're not better than anybody. Like, honestly, if I look at all around the world, if anything, I should be humbly serving other people, not putting myself up on a pedestal because of that. But at the end of the day, if we look at worldviews, if we look at the clash of cultures right now, if we look at the clash of racism and injustice and lack of mercy and all these different things that are happening, the Christian worldview has the answer to these things, whereas the secular worldview doesn't. Because if you're trying to keep a consistent worldview, I'm just thinking of today's culture. We'll get into it in a little bit. But, okay, so Black Lives Matter movement, for example. The cry right now is Black Lives Matter. And yes, they do. 100%. Black Lives Matter.
And I just, because I don't know who's listening to us right now, I just want to state, because I've had a few conversations with people, it's not that no other lives matter.
Right.
That's not what the movement's about. It's about we matter too.
Correct. And that's the
what I want to state out there, because of this whole, well, no, all lives matter. Or what about police lives matter? Or what about this? And it's like, that's not what they're saying. That's not the message they're carrying out right now. The message that's being carried out is that they matter too, because that community of our fellow brethren feel that they have been oppressed. And throughout a lot of the recent 500 years of history, people have mistreated that community. Even here in our country, but not only in our country, even in Africa. I mean, it's just, and I'm not claiming to be a master historian on it. I just know from the little history that I do know that this community of people, if I look at the Jewish community of people, if I look at the Irish community of people, there's several people that have gone through some tough situations and throughout history. It's just our African-American brothers and sisters definitely have a more recent issue with it. Yeah. So
and Black Lives Matter is different. Me saying that is different than the community or the organization that was started with it too.
Right.
But
yeah, we're not saying we affiliate or support any organization.
No, we're just having a conversation.
We're just having a conversation.
And so, with this cry of Black Lives Matter, Christians should be standing up and going, yeah, you're right. We should. But if
you see a lot of Christians are doing.
Yeah, I actually love what J.D. Greer, or the president of the Baptist Convention, actually said about it. It's actually a pretty cool article. But the secular worldview, if we're talking holistic worldview, where it's like, nope, it's survival of the fittest, the weaker die, the stronger go, Black Lives Matter doesn't fit into that secular worldview. Right. So the question is why is there such a outcry? Why is there such a push that, yes, Black Lives Matter too? Why is there? It's because we're all made in the image of God. And inside of us, I would argue that this is the common grace that we're all given. Since we're all made in the image of God, we all know that inherently. We all know that every single person has value and has worth.
Right.
That's just instilled into us. It's built into us.
Well, it's
as humans.
It's the transformation and reformation of our minds once we become a Christian. Because a lot of people haven't grown up in the Christian faith, and it takes them part of their adult years to really learn that, and for Jesus to change their heart.
But I'm even talking about those who aren't saved. They just know that our lives are all of equal value, dignity,
to
worth.
A point, right? Because I think of abortion.
I have that written down. Yep.
I think of abortion. I think of human trafficking. I think of the civil rights movement just 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah,
that
Martin
was
King
going on.
Jr.,
Yeah,
Frederick
I mean,
Douglass.
all sorts of stuff that we don't, as a human race, without God, we do not always value every human life like we should.
Right. So jumping into that real quick then, these are just various ways that I was thinking. I actually read a book about this, and there's a wonderful podcast that Carrie Newhoff had with a pastor down in Indianapolis who actually recently wrote a book of the ways that Christians have responded to the fact that everyone's made in God's image. And the first one is, even back when Christianity first became not organized religion, but right when
as the
apostles
church emerged.
Started. Thank you. The church
after
emerged.
The day of Pentecost.
Who did you see picking up the orphans in the streets and taking in kids? And it was a different process, but in today's culture, it would be adoption and foster care. Yeah, followers of the way. Those who follow Jesus were taking kids off the street and raising them as their own.
Right.
And even widows. Like the church was the first person and financially supporting, giving them housing.
Right. And
we actually have written records of widows' names in official logs.
Right.
Which never happened. Right. Never happened in Roman culture.
Yep.
So many hospitals have been started by Christians, whether Catholics, Methodists, Baptists. the biggest hospitals in America, the oldest ones, are all religiously based. Sunday school was started. I thought this was interesting. Sunday school was started to teach kids how to read and write. That's it. Like, it wasn't started to learn more and have Bible study like that. They did that,
right.
But it was actually a Christian man who's like, my community's illiterate. Let's bust them in. We'll have Sunday school, teach them how to read and write. Oh, the service is right afterwards, so that's perfect too. Right. But it started as another schooling so that they could learn how to read and write, because there was not a school system. In fact, even education was a lot of fueled by Christianity. The biggest, oldest universities were Christian-based.
Right.
I don't remember if public schools were started by Christians or not. I'm trying to remember that. I feel like I want to say that they had their hands in the beginning of it to stop the poverty of it. Slavery, even though this is a bit of a conversation, those who were most against slavery, specifically over in England, I always forget the dude's name. The movie Amazing Grace was about him.
I was just singing that song in my head because that's exactly what I was
over there. He was a Christian, and as he was reading the Bible,
he was a slave trader at first before he came to Christ.
And he read the Bible, and he found out that no, we're all made in the image of God. Therefore, we're all image bearers. Therefore, we all have equal value, dignity, and worth. So we stopped selling people as property and started actually rescuing and redeeming them.
Right, exactly.
Like, it's just super cool. Abortion's another one. The fact of, if all human life has dignity and worth, whether you're born yet or super old, euthanasia, Christians say no, that baby in that mom's womb is a person and has the values and dignities that
from conception, like we learned about with Sarah Nass in the Femme conversation.
Exactly. And no one argues that. That's where the personhood, what makes a person a person.
Yep.
Well, if you have a consistent worldview, you don't even need to ask that question.
Yeah.
Another one is special needs individual. I think of that. Tim Tebow, he's a Christian. Why do you start the Tim Tebow Foundation and the Night to Shine organization? Is because he's like, these people are beautiful people made in God's image, and they deserve the exact same stuff that we have.
Right.
A beautiful story. Human trafficking is another one. I mean, Christians are shutting that down like crazy. Victims of abuse, sexual and physical, Christians have started thousands of organizations, and this is one that
not only that, but just I think of Celebrate Recovery,
dude. Yeah,
drug abuse. You know, you can not just be doing it to somebody else, but doing it to yourself and learning that you are in the image of God. I mean,
and Rick Warren's church, Saddleback, started it
to
help people get out of that. And then the last one, this is super cool. There's a church in L.A. that I follow. There's a ministry called Triple X Church, and their entire job is to go and reach out to those who are They might not be slaves, but they are trapped in the sex industry, whether by prostitution, whether by strip clubs, whether by whatever.
We see that.
They minister to these people.
But we see that from back. That's exactly what Jesus was doing. I mean, it's assumed that Mary Magdalene was of a brothel. You know, that's the assumption that's made. But then I also think of the Samaritan woman who had, you know, many husbands and many lovers.
And what did Jesus, what was
like, that's who he ministered to.
Besides saying that he was God, which I think is really funny that people say, like, oh, Jesus never claimed to be God.
It's like, he said, blind. I am.
You're blind. Why do you think the Jews wanted him dead?
Right.
But they hated, they wanted him dead because he claimed to be God.
Right.
They hated him because he was friends of sinners.
Right.
Not the religious folk.
Right.
He was a friend of
And just
sinners.
like he said, a doctor doesn't come to heal the people that don't need anything. He comes to heal the sick.
Right. So right off the bat, you see that Jesus is the ultimate fulfillment of viewing all men as created equal. And when we have this conversation of everyone is made in the image of God, as Christians, we need to look at our culture and our community and ask the question of, when I see a fellow person, whether they're in our church, whether they're at Target, whether they're at Starbucks, whether they're homeless on the street, do you instantly go, I'm no better than him because he's also made in the image of God?
Not only that, but that regardless if they are saved or not saved, that is a son or daughter of God.
Right, 100%.
If you think about, as a parent, your children are image bearers, quote unquote, of you. They look like you. A lot of kids have similar attitudes to their parents because of their learned traits.
Mm-hmm.
They are image bearers. Now, unfortunately, as a non-saved person, there's two fathers. There's the Father God, and then there's the father of this world. I call him the evil stepdaddy. That's what I like to call him, the evil stepdaddy.
That's about as Disney as it gets, dude.
But that's what it is, though. If you think about it, like, God is our actual father, right?
Yep.
He's everybody's father. And Satan has come and torn the family of God apart. So he's the evil stepdaddy. And all he wants to see is the destruction. I think of Cinderella, man.
Yep. That's where my mind went.
That's
instantly.
what it is, too, yeah. So, you know me, I'm a Disney dude, so.
Disney, bro.
Disney. Man, that'd be some cool swag to have, like, RTC, but in, like, Disney letters. Sorry. Anyways.
Y'all can't see what my face just did. I went, oh, no.
He would wear it. Anyways, yeah, but, I mean, that's the thing. It's the father of lies. As an unsaved person, they're following the father of this world, and they're bearing his image, even though they still look like, I think of kids with their step-parents. Like, they don't look like their step-parents, but they could pick up characteristics of their step-parents. Well, that's how unsaved people are. They picked up characteristics of the evil stepdad, Satan, but they are still in the image and look like God.
Right.
Like, that's where
all the beautiful things you see from people, that's made in God's image.
Right.
And it doesn't, and that's why, that's why murder's wrong, because, right off the bat, I mean, Genesis 9, Jesus says, whoever sheds the blood of a man isn't just killing just some generic animal. He's killing a fellow, not just a random, but a fellow image bearer.
Well, and where did Jesus say that anybody who wasn't to your liking is not your brother? No, as a matter of fact, and this is where it blows my mind with where the church has screwed up in the past and in the history. Jesus says, how can you say you love me yet hate your brother?
Little louder for people in the back.
And if we're
a little louder for the people in the back.
I'll let you say it again. But if we're image bearers, if we're all image bearers, like we read in Genesis 1, we're all made in the image of God. Therefore, we are all, as humanity, image bearers. Yes, there's corruption as sin, but that means we're all brothers, sisters. I mean, it said brothers in the New Testament. That's what Jesus is speaking to, but it means everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But how can you say you love God and yet you hate your brother? Like, to me, that's
the answer is it's impossible. Like, that's the answer.
So right there, if you're not going to follow the true Father by loving your brother and loving God, if you hate your brother, you're not loving God, so you're loving the father of this world, which is Satan, the evil stepdad. Anyways, that's my 2 cents.
It's just cool. I mean, and it's a lot of this, so many Christians, I feel like, are not going into today's world. I don't feel like a lot of Christians are having these Black Lives Matter conversations well. Now, I think part of it is because we don't live it. We don't see it. I mean, especially if we're white. But at the end of the day, we need to have an understanding. And this goes so far above Black Lives Matter. This goes against the grain of all thought, abortion and everything, with the fact of we are
so
made
far
in God's image.
Or so far as, like, again, what Jesus said, of even hating your brother.
Yep.
Of even just not, it doesn't have to do with bodily harm, just not wishing ill on somebody else.
Yeah. So let me read some scripture that speaks into that. So in James 3, verses 7 through 12, it says, every kind of animal, bird, reptile, and fish is tamed and has been tamed by humankind, but no one can tame the tongue.
And we talked about this in one of our
we did. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. With the tongue we bless our Lord and Father, and with it we curse people who are made in God's likeness and God's image.
There it is. Say it again.
With the tongue we bless our Lord and Father, and with it we curse people who are made in God's likeness and image.
That's us. How often do we? I mean,
James even says it should not be this way.
It's been like this. This is nothing new.
No,
this is nothing
new under the sun.
I mean, we have several scriptures. It's just that point right there. If that doesn't convict somebody, I'm ready to turn off the podcast now. I mean, what are we even doing here? I mean, we're giving you the scripture that speaks out against it, and there is nothing new under the sun. And this is something that the church, from the beginning, obviously it's back in James, from the beginning of the church, that we've had to speak out against. All humans, black, white, red, brown, purple, whatever color you want to be.
Purple.
Orange. If you eat too much carrots, orange. But we are all made in the image of God. And right now, our black brothers and sisters feel like they are being downtrodden and have been for years. So why aren't we trying to encourage them And why aren't we saying, yes, you do matter. You are the image bearer of God. You are. And it's so hard. It's like I think of a spouse that has been abused by another spouse. I'll go a woman and a man. I'll say the man's abusive just because that's what my mind goes to.
And that's usually what happens.
But let's say the man's abusive and they have something called Stockholm Syndrome, right? You ever heard of Stockholm Syndrome? It's where like you're in love with the person that's holding you captive.
Oh,
Stockholm.
yes.
So if you look at a lot of these abuse cases between spouses, that's typically what happens why they stay. Stockholm Syndrome, either they still love them or they have kids involved and they can't see something, they can't see a life without that other spouse. But they're believing a lie. And that's where Christians need to come in and tell them the truth and stand by them and walk with them in the truth. And that's what we're seeing now. For so long, the church has put off really standing by our black brothers and sisters and saying, no, you're right, you are worthy, and we're going to stand with you as a church. And that, it doesn't matter what color we are in the church, but as a church in whole, we are going to stand with you because you are in the image of God. You are. And we're going to stand with you.
And the same goes to that the abused spouse. Like, you're made in the image of God. We're going to stand next to you.
Right, exactly. In any facet of life where the image has been trampled by the enemy and made to seem less worth than what a person actually is, we as Christians should stand against that and stand with them. For aborted babies, we need to take a strong stance again as Western culture Christianity. And we haven't. We've kind of laxed off in the past 30, 40 years against it. And it's slowly been creeping further and further along now because we don't take a strong stance. We need to take a strong stance against injustice towards humanity.
Because what does the Bible verse say? Is it Micah where it's like, seek justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God?
Yeah.
And you're getting fired up over there, bro. So can I speak into the abortion one a little bit?
Go for it, man.
So many church like this. This makes me think of the what Beth Schneider was saying, why she got into foster care. I'm thinking back to that episode. Beth, I do not owe you royalties from me talking about this. Okay, that's what she texted me once, and she's like, you guys mentioned me a lot in your podcast. When am I going to start getting some money kicked back? Well, it's more the fact of, sorry, we don't have money. So,
and it's also the fact we also mention all of our guests a lot.
Like, we mentioned Soche, we mentioned Paul, we mentioned Justin,
Tibbs.
we mentioned Tibby, we already mentioned Sarah Nass. So if you want to have your name shouted out a lot, come be a guest.
We are good free marketing for anybody that wants to be on.
Even if you're a teen like Eli,
Jagger,
Colby, Carly, all you people. But we
either called
way,
out Cassidy a lot, and she's not even on here.
Nope. But anywho, but
anyways,
no. But so I think back of so many times as Christians, as the church, we're so much about don't abort the baby, don't kill the baby, don't do all these different things, and we just think and care about the mom in terms of just don't kill the baby. But do we come alongside moms who we say, you know what, abortion's wrong, don't do that? Oh, good luck to you.
Yeah, and that's what happens.
That's what happens all the time.
Or it's like, well, if you don't want the baby, just send it into the system for adoption. Well, how many kids are sitting in that system right now and not being adopted or fostered and are suffering?
Or are stuck in terrible foster situations that you sadly hear about all over the news.
Where are we at, church? I mean, you want to speak out against it, but you don't want to do anything to follow up.
We're so pro-life while the baby's in the womb, but not pro-life once that baby's born.
But that's how we are with racism as a church.
Oh, here we go.
That's how we are. We'll speak out, racism's wrong, and then just leave it. And that's where our African-American community, our brothers, our sisters, our families, because they are family, that's why they're so frustrated right now. That's why we have all these riots going on right now. It's because it's out of frustration. It's because the church hasn't stood by them. It's a, what did I see? I saw it somewhere. Somebody says it's a moment, but nobody wants to follow through with the movement.
Oh, wait a minute.
Whoa. Like, that's so true. It's a moment. Everybody wants to stand in the moment, but nobody wants to follow through with the movement. It's like, whew, that's big.
And we see that with so many things. And that's why I'm thinking of the abortion thing. We're pro-life, but then we're not pro-life after that baby's born. We just let them get stuck. And that's why like Beth, that's why she heard that sermon of we're pro-life before, not after. Right. That's why she got into fostering and adopting. And to me, the church has really went from one extreme to the other. We really have as a church. And you may disagree with me, Mark, but I think back to the 30s, 40s, and 50s where the church is like the 1930s, 40s, and 50s.
Like turn or burn, right? We've said this, how wrong that is.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're on the opposite end of the spectrum where it's just love. But I don't want to get too close. I don't want to get too involved because loving might hurt. You know, we might have to speak some truth in love. We might have to stand up against some injustices here.
And grace is messy.
But yeah,
love is messy.
Yeah, it is.
People.
I'd rather just
dealing with people are messy.
I'd rather say it from afar and then walk away.
Yep. And I'm gonna shoot some more holes. So, because so many people, they're like, oh, you know what? I give my money to missions. I give my money to here. I give my money so you can go do that. But I want to stay in my pretty cozy life.
Right. My $200,000 house, driving my 2016
And we're not here preaching against people who have those things.
No, not at all.
And honestly, I'm in a place in my life where I'm asking myself those questions. You know, saying I'm a single dad with 2 kids. Like, I don't got so much bandwidth with the job.
Right.
Like, but what am I doing?
You know, is the church coming alongside Mark right now in his time of crisis?
Fuller is.
Well, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, this isn't so much a condemnation to the church. It's a call. We're calling you out. We're calling and saying, step up. It's time to step up. It's time to step up for our brothers and sisters that are black. It's time to step up for those babies that are being aborted. It's time to step up for those abusive spouses and all the injustice in the world. It's time to step up and be the church and be the bride that Christ wants to come back and get, because we're not right now. We'd rather live in our cozy little houses and keep distance and love from afar and send money to missions rather than being the missionaries ourselves. So,
dang.
Sorry, you got me all riled. I didn't even think I was going to get riled up on this episode, but I'm riled up.
I got you all wild up, man. So I'll end my thoughts with a quote from good old Wayne Grudem.
All right.
Wayne Grudem from his Systematic Theology. If you want the smaller version, I got you. But this is from his big boy Systematic Theology. When he was writing about the image of God, he said this: every single human being, no matter how much the image of God is marred by sin or illness or weakness or age or any other disability, still has the status of being in God's image, and therefore must be treated with the dignity and respect that is due to God's image bearer. This has profound implications for our conduct towards others. It means that people of every race deserve equal dignity and equal rights. It means that elderly people and children yet unborn deserve full protection and honor as human beings because they are image bearers.
Right.
And this Systematic Theology wasn't written that recently.
No, it's old.
This sucker's been around for, I'm trying to think, did he drop it 15 years ago? And even before then, I thought
it was like 20 or 25 years ago.
I don't know. It used to be on my shelf, but now I have the digital copy. But so it's back to, but Wayne Grudem flat out said that since we all are made in the image of God, and it goes back to that verse in Colossians 3 where there's neither Jew, nor Greek, nor slave, nor free, circumcised, uncircumcised, barbarian, or Scythian, or whatever. In Christ, we are all in all. The fact that Christ levels the playing field of everybody.
Right.
In terms of, doesn't matter if you're black, doesn't matter if you're white, doesn't matter if you're Indian, doesn't matter if you're Asian, doesn't matter if you're Latino. It don't matter. We're all image bearers in God. Whether you're unborn, whether you're old, whether you're a genius, whether you're not, whether you have special needs or you're quote unquote, I don't like the term, but normal. It doesn't matter.
That ain't me.
Yeah, we know. It don't matter.
Right.
It does not matter. Why? Because God created us all in his image, and everyone is worthy of that dignity and respect.
Okay.
That's my thoughts, bro.
I'm going to end it with my final thought here. And it's going to be real. It's going to be short for Fuller.
It's going to be short for Fuller.
Short for Fuller. It's going to be
my height.
You matter to God, and you are everything to God. It's time for you to be everything for the church. It's time for the church to step up and be your everything too. That's all I got.
Bam. And I will say this, and since you mean everything to God, that's why Jesus came to die for you, so you could be reconciled to the Father. Because that's love. Here in his love, not that we love God, but that God loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sin. I just combined 1 John and Romans. But
damn, that's
at the end of the day, we're all made in God's image, and God loves his creation all equally. And Jesus, last time I checked, Jesus came and died for the world. That's kind of everybody.
For God so loved the world?
No, for God so loved the clean.
Oh, that's what it is. For God only loved the really righteous and religious people.
And rich.
And rich.
And clean.
Yeah, that's...
Last time I checked, that's what nobody has ever said.
No true Christian should ever say.
So, long story short, it's time to put your money where your mouth is, church.
There you go.
I love it. Bro, I feel tense after that.
I'm like,
how do we even segue out of that? But you know what? We've been doing this for, what episode is this? 48?
40.
We have had, this is Fun Facts with Fuller. Because if you're new to the podcast, we talk about Fun Facts with Fuller. At the end of every episode, actually, the first episode, I was like,
sprung it on me.
sprung it on you. You weren't ready.
We
went back and listened to it, and it was really funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious. But anyways, we do this because sometimes we get into some heated debates. Mark and I do. Sometimes we get into some serious world topics like tonight.
Just way
and
heavy,
this is just
man.
kind of like, all right, we've hit hard on this.
We're gonna open a window. We're opening a window.
We're gonna let the breeze in.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what the Fun Facts with Fuller are about.
And a fun fact about this fun fact, I don't know this one.
Well,
I accidentally read the word Star Wars, so I just know it's that.
Yeah,
but Fuller, what's
right.
our fun fact to end the podcast on today?
Fun fact of the day. Did you know, Mark, that Star Wars Yodas,
plural?
Yodas with like his
Baby Yodas?
He owns Yoda. Yoda's like his Yoda's phone.
Okay.
Like he owns it.
Okay.
Apostrophe S, not ES or
okay.
S.
Okay. Keep going. Okay.
Anyways, so Star Wars Yodas were inspired by his looks were inspired by Albert Einstein. Did you know that?
No. Wait, what? Hold on.
This is why I didn't want you to read it. Where his looks were inspired by Albert Einstein. When Star Wars special effects artist Stuart Freeborn considered what kind of appearance he wanted to give his sage Jedi mentor, he got inspiration from a guy generally associated with smarts, Albert Einstein. A photo of the theoretical physicist hung on his office wall, and his eyes and wrinkles gave Freeborn just the finishing touches he was looking for.
Okay, I could see it, but I did not know that, dude.
But look at the hair of Yoda.
That's what I'm saying. It's the hair. It's that wispy, like
craziness.
Kind of the dome
right.
around the sides, and it's wispy, and he's a genius. He's Yoda. He's the master.
Right. He's the master Yoda. So Master Albert Einstein.
Theory of relativity, was that Albert Einstein?
I don't remember.
And Yoda used the Force to overcome the theory of relativity? Maybe? I don't know.
Maybe.
There's some fan fiction for you.
For you Star Wars buffs out there.
Someone do the research for me because I'm not. But either way, we have had so much fun. We hope you guys had a good time with this conversation. But please reach out to us. Bro, we always joke, like, we don't want this just to be a conversation between you and me. We want to bring the conversation into all the spheres that we're in, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So reach out to us on Facebook or on Instagram or at Twitter at Real Talk Christian Podcast, or you can always hit us up on our email at realtalkchristianpodcast@gmail.com. But until next time,
take it easy.
Thank you for listening to Real Talk Christian. To help get our podcast into the ears of other people who need to hear these conversations, we would love for you to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. To keep the conversations going, feel free to follow us on Instagram and Facebook and share our content with others. See you next time.